core issue that we're seeing with this is the devaluation of specifically public education, but I think education in general. When we see teacher supports being diminished, we see kids supports being diminished.
It all translates down.
It all translates down. That's the thing that I think most about.
Welcome back to another episode of the Powercast. We're here in San Antonio, Texas, ISTE 2025. Joining me now on the show, the man with more titles than a foreign diplomat, Bill Bass. So Bill, you have to share, number one, your district and then all of your roles within the district, because I'll screw it up.
Sure, I understand. So Bill Bass, I am from Parkway School District. We are a suburb of St. Louis, so we're right outside, just west of the city. In my district, I'm basically a district administrator responsible for innovation.
Okay.
But my actual title is ridiculous and made up. But I'm an innovation coordinator for instructional technology, information, library media, and federal programs. And so each one of those things represents some other responsibility I have. So all of our instructional technology is part of my office, as is our library program, as is, going beyond that, federal programs. And all of our Title I funds come through me, all of our the plan, the evaluation of our Title I programs, Title II through IV, all of those things are part of my purview.
Wow, okay, so a lot of data coming through. Is it safe to say there's a lot of data that you're responsible for?
That is safe to say, definitely. I have a lot of data just to manage and try to interpret the best I can.
Okay. Now, so you're a former ISTE president, correct?
I am, yeah.
So give me a little of the genesis of that, that relationship and kind of your experiences along the way to what you're seeing now in terms of just the conference in general, because this is my first conference, so I'm interested in the perspective.
All right. Well, my first conference was actually over 20 years ago.
Okay.
It was actually also in San Antonio.
Okay.
My very first ISTE conference, it was called NEC at that point. It was the National Education Computing Conference. And so there was a name change shortly after, in the late 2000s. But I came because I had just started a role as a technology integrator and was trying to figure out what to do. It was a very different time than now in terms of technology. And I had come from the classroom. I was an English teacher, and I was doing, I had a paperless classroom before, you could do things with Google, and all my kids had blogs, and I hosted my own Moodle LMS.
Yeah.
It was.
I remember that.
It was a different day.
Yes.
And so I was trying to get more perspective as to how I can help the teachers in my district. We have Parkway has somewhere around 1,500 teachers. And so I was trying to figure out, how do I help these teachers and how do I set the stage? And so ISTE very quickly became kind of my professional home. Okay. And because of that, I started getting involved in volunteer work with ISTE and trying to, all in an effort to understand what I was doing, why I was doing it, and the role that technology was going to play, because I wanted it to be authentic for my kids. Right?
Sure.
and my teachers. And so that was really the impetus to start getting involved. From there, there used to be programs at ISTE called special interest groups. And each one of them had their own focus. And so the one that I was a part of was the innovative learning.
Okay.
I became president of that, and then just over time got more involved in ISTE, and soon ended up running for the board, got a seat on the board, and then was elected president. And so I spent about 6 years working very closely with ISTE, trying to set direction. We had a CEO change during that time. We had some acquisitions happen during that time. A lot of change. And so, my role with ISTE has obviously evolved, but it's really been great to find that space where I can continue to thrive, after a almost 30-year career, to continue to be inspired by others, right, and hopefully, do what I can to inspire people as well.
Okay, I want to take it a little closer to home. When you think about Parkway, what are some of the big ticket initiatives that are kind of in your shop that are either happening or a recent big win, or just give us a little bit of what's going on at the district level?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of things over the years, as most school districts have. One of the things that I think we're most proud of, and that I would say is it's not directly my work,
Okay.
but I support it. It's a program called Spark, and it's an experiential learning program that actually my own kids were a part of. When they were in the school, they went through this program and the Spark program. And what's cool about it, though, is every one of these programs, and we have programs that, like, we have a technology solutions program, we have a entrepreneurship program, we have a
Okay.
health sciences program, we have a teaching program, and all of these are part of that experiential learning where those kids are not just have the opportunity, but are expected to work with mentors that are outside of our school system.
Okay.
And so, like our health sciences kids, they go and observe surgeries. Our entrepreneurship kids work with startups, and our tech solutions kids like create technology solutions for companies. And so they're not even tech companies necessarily. Right. Just like they do that, we have a design strand that they create websites for companies, and they create apps, and just really try to find solutions, but everything's authentic. Everything is real world. There's nothing contrived along the way. They are doing things that actually are part of the field that they're studying.
So I'm assuming it's very closely aligned with your career in tech programming and what have you. Can you tell me a little bit more, because selfishly I love everything CTE. Can you tell me how that works within, like, is it just at the high school? Is it middle school, elementary? Just a little bit more about that.
So it is a high school. This is primarily a high school program.
Okay.
Now we do have a few, it's flexible, which
Sure.
is the whole point. But mainly a high school program. We have 4 high schools, and we have kids from all 4 of those high schools come together, and it's not on any single campus. So we don't actually have a quote unquote Parkway building that houses this program.
Okay.
It is in it's in an office building. One of them is in a medical building. One of them is actually in one of our elementary schools, and it just depends on the strand and the needs of the strand.
Right.
And so it's very closely aligned to CTE in that that's how they get credit for these programs. But at the same time, they also have they can also get dual credit in a lot of different ways, because we are looking at competency-based credits, and what are they actually creating inside of, like, the computer science standards, mm-hmm. or the communication standards for ELA, for math. I mean, so we're really working hard to analyze our programs, but they change every semester. Because so the program doesn't change. Okay, so the program doesn't change, but the content changes based on the kids that are in there and the needs of the companies and the mentors that we're working with.
Okay.
So it's never the same thing from semester to semester.
Wow.
It's ever changing, it's ever flexible, and it's actually really cool to see these kids come out. My own son came out of his program with 3 different patents for a entrepreneurship program that he was creating, or that he was a part of. They created a weighted vest for kids that kids would actually want to wear that didn't look stupid. Like, it was a hoodie. And so they have these patents that they got because of the ideas that they had. And so a lawyer helped them,
Really?
Patent lawyer came in and was a mentor for them. And so that's what I mean. It's always, there's never the same project over and over again. There's never the same. It's driven by kids. It's driven by their, what is important to them.
Yep.
And it's driven by the needs of the companies that we're working with.
Let me ask you this. Being in the tech field and being a part of ISTE, why is it so difficult for school districts and companies to integrate like you're speaking about, right? Because that's always been a source of pride for me. I feel like I understand both angles, right, and understand how to make that work, but it's not the norm. That's been a struggle for decades. What do you think is the biggest barrier of, like, shouldn't we be doing this like nationwide all the time with everything we're really doing?
I couldn't agree more. That we have this authenticity void is kind of the way I think
that's
about it.
great. That's a great way to say it. Yes,
It's because and it's not that we don't want to.
right.
It's just that we don't do it. And so I think one of the barriers is that we only have kids for so long, and so we feel like we're teaching content. And we have to get through content in a lot of ways, and so we don't necessarily have time to have a mentor for them to discover what it is that they want.
Okay.
And I don't know, in some cases, we live in a suburban area. We have companies, we have resources that in the community that folks are willing to come in and work with our kids. And so but in a lot of cases, you have rural spaces and rural companies that don't necessarily have that kind of time and ability. Now, I do think technology can facilitate that.
That was going to be my pushback. Well, can't most of it be done virtually at this point?
I think they can, but I think we're still in the space where we want to, the pendulum has swung.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we're kind of pulling back a little bit on what we think we can do. And so maybe that's in the name of screen time, maybe whatever there's many reasons, but I think that there is it's always been a struggle, and I think that because we have this limited amount of time, limited amount of resources, and we don't trust kids.
I'd agree with that.
We don't trust kids to make decisions in their educational best interest.
But and correct me if I'm wrong here, but every time we've put students in a situation where they need to rise to the occasion or they need to assimilate, right? I found that almost every single time, if not every time, they exceed what we thought that they were going to be capable of. Whether it's engaging with a CEO and you're worried about, okay, I want them to be professional and respectful, and every time my expectation or what I thought was going to happen is way below what they delivered. Is that what you see as well?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I think, and that goes back to that trust factor that we assume that they are not going to be able to handle it. We assume that they don't have the skills, the social skills. We assume that they don't have the ability to really make that leap. And I think the other point that I would make with that is, so in line with that trust is we don't actually believe that, or maybe let me put it this way: it's not a belief. It's more that we don't think that we have a vision. Mm-hmm. Right? And so that vision is probably not going to be the same one that we get, because now they're going to exceed it, but they're going to get there a different way than we think they should. Yes. And so we're really imposing our values and our beliefs about what this should be onto these kids. And, ultimately, really, I'd say it nicer in a lot of other places, but it's not fair. It's not nice.
Yeah.
Like, we can do better than that.
Switching gears for a moment, just thinking federal programs, what's keeping you up at night in terms of the dollars or any effect to title funding? Is there anything that's weighing a little bit on you and the district as we move forward in kind of this new era of education?
Yeah, so a few things. First of all, we do rely on Title I funds for some of our staffing.
Most districts do, yeah.
Most districts do, and if we don't have that funding, how are we going to continue to keep those kids, support those kids, as well as keep those teachers? Like, that's a big thing for us, and we'll figure it out.
Sure.
I got it, but that's one of the things. I think that's probably with Title I, that's the biggest thing. The other piece, though, that I really am concerned about and just worried, keeps me up is, Title II, certainly, professional learning, keeping teachers involved. But all of this to say is that the devaluation of education, that we are seeing through our federal program, through our decline of our federal programs.
Yeah.
And I think that is the thing that, like we can lament and we can be upset about whatever we want, and the funding, and we'll figure out how to keep those teachers employed and all that. But when push comes to shove, right at the end of the day, is the core issue that we're seeing with this is the devaluation of specifically public education, but I think education in general. In our communities. Now, I'm painting with a very broad brush.
Sure.
I completely understand that, and I'm not saying that this is the way for every community, but when we see teacher supports being diminished, we see kid supports being diminished.
It all translates down.
It all translates down, and that's the thing that I think is that's the thing that I think most about.
Okay. I'll get you out of here on this last question. When you reflect back over your 20 years at ISTE, what was one thing that you saw that was before its time in the technology space? Is there anything that you remember that's like, man, that was good, it was just a little bit too far in front?
Yeah.
Is there anything that comes to mind?
Well, I think that the first thing that I would say comes to mind is the virtual reality.
Okay.
When that first made the scene, and it was mind blowing, and you just you didn't know what to do with it. Conceptually, it was like, whoa, okay, I don't know what to do with this, and so because I don't know what to do with this, I have to leave it. I get to see into the future right here, and it's cool, but it is not something that I can actually take action on today. And I think that is, anytime that I see this, I try to look at it at ISTE, at any kind of conference like that I go to. I try to think, okay, so this is what's happening, or these are the things that people are caring about. What do I need to do to prepare my district to 3 to 5 years from now be able to take action on it, and not, it doesn't have to be today. We don't have to do everything right now. But we do need to be at least thoughtful enough to recognize that there are influences that are outside of education that we need to prepare ourselves for. Yeah. And I think that's VR at the time was one of the things that, you just had to let it go, because it was cost prohibitive and also, curriculum prohibitive. It was kind of like, what?
What do we do? Yeah.
I don't know here.
What are we going to teach with this? Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Well, man, it was a pleasure meeting you. I appreciate you jumping in and just sharing a little bit of your experience, not only with ISTE, but some of the great things you guys are doing in Parkway. And I got to think you're a Chiefs fan down that area.
It depends. We once upon a time, the Rams were with us.
That's right.
And then they seceded, and so we now have, we have the Chiefs. There's a lot of Chiefs fans in the area. So,
well, thank you so much for joining the Powercast, man. We got to do this again, because I'd love to dive in a little bit deeper into some of the things that are happening in this school district. So,
yeah, right on.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And if you like what you heard, saw, please subscribe, hit that like button, and join us next time on the Powercast.